Welcome to Yeshivat Shalom Bayit. Bezrat Hashem, today is Rosh Chodesh Kislev, the first day of the Rosh Chodesh Kislev, Friday, Erev Shabbat Kodesh Parashat Toldot, Tafshin Pei Gimel. We're going to go back to the Halacha with Siman Lamed Bet. We're continuing in Yud Zayin, so we'll start from there. Im nafla tipad deyo letoch ha'ot, ve'ena nikeret ha'ot. Now, what happened was, as the Sofer writing, as we know that he's supposed to fill up the letters, make them thick, right? To make them embossed. The letters have to be actually coming out from the cloth. So as he was filling it up with a lot of ink, what happened was he didn't notice that the kulmus, the pen, whatever, the what is it called, the feather that he's using to draw the beautiful otiyot, unfortunately, a big chunk of ink fell and filled up the whole letter. So he was writing a chav, and a chunk went in, and he overfilled it, and the whole chav became a big, giant circle. What do you do? Right? He had the whole big, giant circle. So the question is, now you don't see it. You just see a bulge, a big bulge. It looks like a chav from outside, but inside it's all filled in. So you know it's supposed to be a chav, but it's not. So the rabbi says, אין תקנה לגרור הדיו ועל ידי כך יהיה ניכר העוד, להווה חג, תוחות ופסול. Rabbi says, you may not extract only the ink from the inside of the letter. The easier part would be the letter Chaf, right? It's a letter Chaf, filled in. So you take, they have the chisels, you know how they do it, not the chisels. Or chisels, today they have machines. They have machines that, like a pen. Mm-hmm. You go with a pen and you actually could take out what you don't want. So what is the Sofer did? All of a sudden he wrote the whole thing and he sees that the chaf is erased. Or filled in, not erased, filled in. You hear it, Terry? Yeah. What he did with the chisel, with that machine that cleans up, he took and he cleaned out the middle of the chet. So basically, here's the head. The whole thing was filled up, right? This hand is not going to work so much. So this is a head over here and this is all full. What he did is he just chiseled this out. Now he left with the two walls in the top. Mm-hmm. Is that going to make the Sefer Torah kosher or pasul tefillin? Pasul, the rabbi says. Why? It has to be written and not carved out. The otiyot cannot be carved out because that's what he's actually doing here, right? What he did is he just carved out this ink over here, and now he's left with two walls, and that's going to be asul pasul. Because it says v'katav v'lo chakak. Because the Torah tells you, you must write and not carve out. So too, let's say if a person made a mistake, and he wrote a dalet, bimkom resh. So what's the problem? You have dalet, it's a spitz, there's a spitz that comes out before the line comes down. So basically what happens is it's like a resh, but with a spitz coming out. So this guy noticed that his resh is a dalet, not a resh. What can he do? So you might think, just erase the what's his name? The chipchik, right? The back chipchik of the dalet, and that will be nice. It'll be resh. The rabbi says also not. Okay, or a bed bimkom kaf. Same thing. He wrote a bed instead of kaf. What's the problem with the bed? The bed stretches out. The kaf is not, right? The kaf is half a circle, and the bed is half a circle with a spitz, with a little tail. So what do you do? Now he wants to delete. He wants to erase the tail from the what's a ponytail from the reish that he made with the dalet. Now he has a ponytail right on the top of the head in the back. The reish all of a sudden became a dalet, so he has a ponytail on the back. Or the bed, the chaf was now all of a sudden has a tail. It's a bet. So now he wants to delete the tail of the bed of the chaf to make it back into chaf. Or he wants to delete, erase the ponytail of the reish that made it look like a dalet. So now, what do you do? You're not allowed to erase it to fix the tails and the ponytail. Why? Same thing. It will be like he is carving out. Mm-hmm. Basically, you hear how important that is? Mm-hmm. You know how important it is for him to have a good sofer? You should be careful that he doesn't make, this is simple things. To you might say, hey, it's a big deal. What's a big deal? He had a tail on the chav, he deleted it. No, because when he deleted the chav, He's actually was graving. What is it called? He was what we said. He was chiseling, engraving. You know how to engrave or remove. What will be the chakika. Okay. Yud chet halacha. We said the following: mem petucha shenidbak petichata. However, the mem. What happened was, as you see, the way the mem is written, you have an opening, which a mem is in the beginning of the word or in the middle of the word anywhere, instead for the last letter. When it's a last letter, it looks like a box, right? But when a mem is written not in the last letter, anywhere else but the last letter, the mem has an opening, a little opening. It's also like a box, but it has a small opening on the left side, left far corner, left far corner, right of the mem. There's an opening. The bottom left far corner. Okay. Now what happens is, as you wrote it, the ink flown into close the mem. It became a box. That's not what you're not allowed to write a box and the mem, the ending of the mem in the beginning of the word. So you have a problem, right? So then what do you do? And mo'il ligror adabek ulfatcho mishum dehave kechak tochot. Same thing the Rabbi says. You will not take a chisel and just open it up. Just like we said about the head, just like we said about the ponytail and the tail of the bet, of the chav, same thing. You cannot take off that little thing to make the mem look kosher. Not allowed to. Once it was galui, once it was stuck together, finished. Once it became a circle or square, whatever it is, once it closed in, you cannot, there's no way of fixing it just by opening it up a little bit.
So how would they fix it?
We'll see in a second. Okay? Shigror, kol ha'achartom v'nishayer ketzurat nun. Okay, so same thing. What about Uma takanatan? One second. En moligror. Okay. V'shud ha'ave kechak tochot. Uma takanata shigror kol ha'achartom v'tishayer ketzurat nun kefufa ואחר כך יכתוב מה שגדר. So the rabbi says over here, what you do is that you're supposed to erase the whole leg. The whole left leg you erase, and now you're going to have what? Nun. Incomplete nun. So once you have an incomplete nun, because that's how you actually write. Since that's how you write a mem and the mem, or the mem, so once you erase the whole leg, not just little opening, because if you just scraped off a little opening, you're not writing. You are chiseling. You're not allowed to chisel it if it has to be written. So just removing that little piece is not going to help. But if you remove the whole leg, the whole left leg, now you're left with a nun. You left with a nun, incomplete nun, because it's an incomplete nun also. So now you complete the letter mem. Now it's kosher. You hear what's going on here? Mm-hmm. So the choira, how do you fix the reish and the dal and what's his name and what else we said there? There was a reish. And he wrote a dalet, or he said Ptucha. What was the other one? You know? So we had Reish, right? Reish and dalet and Kaf and Bet. So what do you do in those cases? He doesn't tell us how to fix it. Mm-hmm. But he already tells us. You see over here that I guess you have to destroy what you wrote in a format that will be like you're in the middle of writing a letter. So then you could finish it off. Like in the middle of writing another, it looks like a different letter. You don't have to completely erase the letter. Mm-hmm. You don't have to, there's no necessity to erase completely the letter. You see over here, the rabbi was already giving us a hint that you're allowed to change or take off a majority of the letter, mm-hmm. that it's no longer that same letter that you had before, mm-hmm. and you continue writing from there, mm-hmm. and finish it off from there. That's beautiful. That's the way to fix it. I'm talking too much. He's telling you. So what do you do with the resh? יש להחמיר ולומר דלא סגי כשיגרור הירך לבד או הגג לבד ויחזור ויכתבנו כמין resh. So he says, some say that it's not enough if you take off just the whole roof from the resh, right? Take off the whole dalet. Now you continue. Or what's his name, right? משום דבין הגג או בין הירך נעשו בפיסום. So because if no matter what you do, somehow it's going to make it not kosher. Hilkach tzarich ligror shneim. So the rabbi says here, if you take off just the roof of the reish of the dalet, right, that whole dalet part, and then you just write that into continuing to the reish to merge it, he says it's not good. you have to erase the whole thing. Resh must be erased the whole thing, and then rewrite it and finish. Not to have any problems because of this safek. Okay? What happens? Oh, now we have this. What happens is many times you see the ink flows from one letter to the next letter, and you have a connection between them. Right? So the rabbi, what do you do in that case? The rabbi says, Ben kodesh shetigamer, ben achar shenigamara, pasul. So it doesn't matter. At what time did you complete the entire parasha, or it's in the middle of writing the parasha? When they become together, the whole thing is pasul. What do you do? So the rabbi says, however, anytime you separate them, so you took that little chisel and you just broke off that piece where it's connected. We're talking about very like a hair string. It's like a hair string. If you ever saw mezuzot, that's what it is. Connected letters. It's not going to be like a whole big bunch that now it's two letters together. You can't recognize what it is. Mm-hmm. You can actually see taf. It usually happens by taf because it stretches out, right? Mm-hmm. Taf stretches out to the left. And what else over there? By bet. Mm-hmm. If you have a taf and a bet next to it, you have a problem because they both stretch out. So the taf stretches into the left and the bet stretches to the right. So the sofer made a mistake, and now bet and taf together, they're connected because of the overflow of the ink. Or whatever, he was not careful a little bit. So what do you do with it? How are you going to pass the whole thing? The rabbi says, check a chisel, what's his name? That pen that they use, sofer today already, Baruch Hashem. Just tap over there, break off the ink, you're good to go. And it's not called that you were chokek. It's not called that you were chiseling out the letters, because the letters are there already without it. Mm-hmm. So it's not a problem. Because everything was already written appropriately. Im naguu raglei hey ve'akuf. Okay, so now the leg. What happened was that if you have the touching between the hey and the kuf, the legs are touching. I don't know how this happens. Okay, bagag. Oh, so he says that the letters of hey and kuf somehow they touched on top. Yigror haregel ve'achazor ve'chteveno. However, over here, what happened was, This is coming. So you have a hay in the bottom line. Mm-hmm. Then you have a kuf on the top line. Mm-hmm. Right? So what happens is the kuf, the bottom, when you stretch it down, the leg, it actually touches the head of the hay. So it's what's going on? You don't see the kuf anymore. Because the kuf disappeared, the leg disappeared. What do you do with it? So he says, Igror haregel v'yachzor v'chteveno. Over there, no problem. The hay is not stirred. The hay is not disturbed. You just chisel out the entire leg of the kuf and rewrite it, make sure it doesn't touch the hay anymore. Those are common mistakes with the other. Because the hay was written properly. Im nagar regel ha'alef begag ha'alef o pnei ha'alef bapanim bagag tachteya. Right? Pasul. What happened was like this. So you have an aleph. Right? The aleph is with a yud here, and you have a vav in the middle. Mm-hmm. Right? So what happens is when you wrote a yud here and a yud, the bottom part connected. The yud of the bottom aleph connected to the vav on the left side, or the top of the left yud on top of the aleph connected to the vav on the right side. The rabbi says there is no fixing it. It's pasul. Since again, it's not going to help you by chiseling you off little pieces to separate them. Why? They have a kechak, because now it's like you completing a letter when you chisel it off. Over here, the aleph was never aleph, unless you started chiseling it off. Now it became an aleph. Remember that when you drew a yud, the piece of ink came in and connected to the vav, so it looked like a square. It looked like a square, so it was not a real aleph. In that case, it's not an aleph, and just erasing a little bit with the chisel or with the machine, just to separate it, it's not enough. You must erase the whole letter and rewrite it. Erase the whole thing, then rewrite it again. Same thing with the shin. The yuds of the shin, you have 3 of them, and they're all connected. What do you do? Maybe just disconnect them? No, you never had a shin. The only way you're going to have a shin if you write it properly. But since they're licked and all the inks became together, that's not going to be kosher, and you have to rewrite it. The rabbi says here, v'hatzadik, and also the tzaddik, v'ha'ayin, the same story, v'hapeh, all those things, in the beguf ha'od yoter mimkom, the bukam, and if there's connected more, specifically, not just where they're connected, there's like, you could see that the ink is really spilling over and destroying the whole letter. It will destroy the whole letter, and you were like chiseling it out to make it kosher. The chiseling part is the problem. Okay?
So no chiseling, no carving out, no engraving.
Nothing.
None of that. So
Unless it's connected and it's not destroying the letter, as we explained. When the letter disappears and now your chiseling is required to make the letter visible, then that's not kosher. If it makes the letter visible, that's not kosher. If you're required to chisel or carving out, whatever it is, that will make the letter kosher, that's what we learn from the Siman, that's not going to make kosher unless it is completely erased and rewritten. Yutet. Betchilat aktivat yomar befiv. A person who writes the Sefer Torah must say in his mouth the following: Ani kotev l'shem kiddushat tefillin. I am writing for the mitzvah in the name of tefillin. מלבד זה, בכל פעם שכותב אזכרה, צריך לומר שכותב לשם קדושת Hashem. And when he writes constantly, at any given time, Hashem's name, when he wants to write it down, he must say, I am writing this in the honor of Hashem's name, the holy name. He has to say those names, say those words. There, you hear? Here, tzaddik. So you must pronounce those words. Haga. ויש אומרים דסגי כשמחשב שכותב אזכרות לשמן. Alright? דסגי כשמחשב שכותב אזכרות לשמן. Some say, Haga says, you don't have to say it out loud. If you think it for Hashem's honor, it's also okay. הואיל להוציא בתחילת הכתיבה בפיו סגי באחי. So according to Rama, as long as he started writing one time and he said, I'm writing it l'shem shamayim, I'm writing in honor of the holy name of Hashem. One time he said it's enough for the whole completion of the entire Sefer Torah or Tefillin or Mezuzah. Okay,
one time. You only can say it
one time, and then he has to have his mind.
Does he have to say it in mind, or can he say it out loud?
No, he has again. That's the machloket. Rama says he could have it in mind. Maran says no. Every time he has to say it, he has to say it in his mouth. Okay, he has to mention those words. So the Raga says not necessarily. Again, so now according to basically simply like this, a good sofer. Well, according to Maran and Sfaradim, will have to say it all the time. But what happens if he didn't say it? So if he didn't say it, it's still okay. Lechatchila even, it's not b'diavad. Okay, but because you already fulfilled the v'yesh la'akel b'diavad. Oh, the rabbi says it's b'diavad. Okay. That sagi b'ache ho'il ve'hotzi b'tchilat aktiva b'fiv sagi b'ache v'yesh la'akel b'diavad. Now, the Chafetz Chaim doesn't like the word b'diavad because I said, why should it be b'diavad? Oh, so no. The Mishnah Brura writes the following: Why b'diavad? אבל לכתחילה צריך לומר בפירוש בכל פעם שכותב אזכרה לשם קדושת השם, he must utter it with his mouth. Anytime he writes Hashem's name, he has to say, I'm writing it לשם in honor of קדושת Hashem, the holiness of Hashem's name. אפילו אם אמר בתחילת הכתיבה, even though if you said it already once in the beginning. הכל האזכרות שבו, וכן פסקו, the rabbi says here, והם פסקו אחרונים, and all the אחרונים פסקו the same way. ואינו כותב אז okay. Okay, וכשבא לנמנם לא יכתוב. Like some people who are falling asleep, some people who are that I'm boring, and they're mitnamnemim, they should not write Sefer Torah if they are not fully awake. De'enu kotev az b'kavanah, because at that moment you're not fulfilling writing with the proper kavanah. Okay, we're going to stop here, because it's going to be longer and we're going to go over time, because I don't know why. This week I went over a few times. All right, guys, let's thank our ladies for giving us opportunity to come to Beit Midrash and help us out. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we should continue every day. Starting Sunday, we're going to start again Sunday with morning shiurim. Motzei Shabbat shiurim. Stay tuned for men and ladies on Parasha and connecting the Parasha Haftarah of the week. Starting 8:30. We'll let you know where. In Hollywood.